Welcome everyone, Dave Capper from Mada Partners. I'd like to take the opportunity today to introduce you to David Ross, who is one of the co-founders of Argo Property Group here in Philadelphia. Good afternoon, David.
Hey Dave, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Argo is the developer that Mada works with in Philadelphia. And of course, we've been down here for the last few days touring around, getting to see some of the projects that we are involved with, as well as some of the other really cool projects that Argo is involved with. And we thought we'd take the opportunity to introduce you to the team behind the scenes to find out more about who they are and what they do. So David, why don't we start with just tell us a little bit about the Argo story. Where did you guys come from?
Thanks, yeah. We started Argo in late 2014, 2015 here in Philadelphia. It's where I was living. It's where we started. It's where I really knew the neighborhoods. I had been in real estate my whole life. My family has a construction business. I grew up in the trades. I worked professionally in software for 10 years, and I just really missed the built environment. So I looked for a way to come back into this. So starting Argo was my way of getting into development carefully, but strategically thinking about where we wanted to work, what we wanted to be. So yeah, it's been 6 or 7 years, but it's been a wild ride.
But you did a master's degree just prior to getting this stuff started, right?
Yeah, I took a master's degree at Jefferson University. They have a sustainability program, and it was like a green architecture hybrid program. You got to work with developers, engineers, city planners, and you took a collaborative approach to real estate development and architecture. And that was instrumental in me realizing that I could do this and move forward. I still participate there. I help with some jury panels. I help with speaking at some of the classes, just to see who's coming up in the neighborhood, just to get our voice out there a little bit.
Okay, so what exactly is your role in Argo?
So I'm half of Argo. I do all of our pre-development, kind of like the vision for what Argo is. I have a feeling of what I want a site to be. I work with the neighbors, local political parties, the community organizations, and I become the face of Argo to the community. And I then work with the architects and engineers to get shovel ready, and then help manage construction and construction oversight. So everything about the vision for what we want to do somewhere and how that comes together and goes through the process is me. And then my business partner, Jeremy, handles all of our banking relationships, our investor relationships, our risk management appetite, and kind of puts a lot of wind in my sails to chase the vision that we have for Argo.
Now, I've known you for a good 6 or 7 years, which is amazing how that time has gone by. And I remember when we first met back in the day, you were giving us tours of duplexes and some triplexes, and you were pretty excited by those projects, as quite frankly was I. But over those last 6 or 7 years, you've grown way beyond simple duplexes and triplexes. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the history and where Argo started to where you are today and the kind of work you're doing today?
Sure. I'm so excited about the duplexes and triplexes. It's just as we've gotten our systems in place and better vendors, better contractors, we've been able to scale up. Our banking relationships and investor relationships have gone forward with us to allow us to take on bigger projects. Right now we have a handful of projects that are close to 50 units, between 40 and 60,000 square feet. And we're using better vendors, very good architects and engineers, developers, builders that we can trust. And we have great investors and banking relationships that help us pull it together. So for me, the vision's the same. We're doing nice, tasteful projects in historic neighborhoods that look like they fit in and belong. And based on the community conversations we have, are welcomed and embraced. I know development a lot of times is looked at as like a push and a pull with neighborhoods, but we really try and be open and transparent with the neighborhoods we're working in so that they understand who we are. We're not just some team that they can't communicate with.
Okay. Now, There's a number of strategies that developers can use in dealing in construction projects, from single-family home flips and rehabs to smaller multifamily to larger 6-8 unit multifamily to the larger 50 units that you've just spoken about. What can you tell me, in your experience, are some of the benefits and maybe some of the risks of the various strategies?
Yeah, I think real estate's great because you can specialize in so many different things and make a good business for yourself. I think where we've always wanted to grow to is kind of what we're stepping into now over the past year or two. Every site can be many different things. When we identify a site, we have an idea of what we want it to be, whether that's an apartment building or homes. And then we have a conversation locally with the community. And sometimes it changes. It changes drastically. The site we're standing in now, this is 24 townhomes. When we bought this piece of land, we thought we would be able to propose a 44-unit 44-unit apartment building here. There was pushback at the community level, so we went back to the drawing board, and we're really happy with how this turned out. We also enjoy running a company that feels a little more nimble and doesn't have a big machine to it. So we like staying lean. We don't have a lot of employees. Instead, we lean on our vendors, our architects, engineers, our accountants. A lot of that we outsource so that we can work with really good teams. We work with a lot of high-level boutique firms, and that's always been our approach, as opposed to working with a very large firm where we're a less important client in a way. So that's worked really well for us.
You talked about how you had to do a change on this particular site. You had a bit of a change in your strategy. It made me sort of think of this concept that we think about a lot in real estate in terms of risk management.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about risk management from the real estate development perspective?
Real estate development, it is risky, but it's about understanding what those risks are and making sure that a project has a lot of pathways for success. So, when we're trying to do a multifamily project, we want to know if we don't get exactly what we're looking for, can we make a scaled down version of this work? Often we look at multiple exits through a project. Do we sell a project after it's permitted? Do we sell a project when construction's finished, before people move in and before you can do a refinance? Or do you sell a project at the end of stabilization when you're looking at a refi? Or do you hold a project long term? All of those are different options, and all of those may change based on economics of the world or your company. So you have to stay nimble. There's risks every day, but just understanding that they're out there, not getting upset or beat up when things change, just being able to really to understand that you can adapt and make
move on your feet.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Now, this is pretty cool. On this particular tour, we got to visit a project that Matt is actually involved with, and it's this passive house. And in fact, if you look over our shoulders behind us, you can see this blue construction, if you will, behind us, and this concept of this passive house.
Yep.
Tell us what is a passive house?
So passive house is it's a European standard for high efficiency homes. It's really focused on low energy consumption. So think of wearing like a long sleeve shirt under a sweater, under a wool coat, right? It breathes, but it's a very high performing house. So it's very airtight. You finely tune the mechanical system so they're right sized. So there we have 6 townhomes that we're building to passive house standards. It's the American FIAS standard. They are pre-certified. It's a very intensive process with some energy modelers, the architects, and some third-party raters to make sure that we're doing things properly. And then we're building it with multiple inspections to make sure things are airtight, things are healthy, and you're building a very high-quality home with 2 or 3 times the amount of insulation that you normally build. So right now we have the only project in Philadelphia that is a speculative new construction passive project without buyers. Usually passive house is thought of this high-end, it's a personal renovation, it's a private residence. It has this feeling that it's not attainable. And so we've really wanted to do this for buyers who can just come in and buy one and move in. So, we've gone out on a limb, but we're developing Philadelphia's only passive homes that are for sale, that were not custom builds for a client. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And in fact, when this is done, there's going to be an array of solar panels on the top as well, right?
So it's modeled that if they had solar on top, they would net out at zero energy. That is all done with the energy models. And so we have solar panels, and there's an option for the buyer to put panels on top and have a zero energy bill at the end of the year. So
that's pretty amazing.
It's awesome, yeah.
Folks, David, thank you very much for your time today. It's for us, it's always exciting when we get to come down here and visit with our friends and tour around all these amazing projects. If you want to learn more about what Mada Partners is doing in Philadelphia and get involved with us, click on the link below and set up an appointment with us. We're happy to meet with you. We love talking about real estate and the real estate development work that we're doing with Argo in Philadelphia.
Great.